Here we are, Sports Card Culture Podcast number 15.
What can we possibly talk about?
I don't know.
I have no topic.
February 9th, we just had some big of sporting event this weekend. Remind me.
So we had gone down to Iowa, went down to Diamond Joe's. We talked about that on the last podcast.
Because it's legal there to bet on sports versus Minnesota.
Now, when Evan put up the last podcast we did a week after we taped it, we'll talk more about that in a minute. I got to listen to, after the Super Bowl happened, I got to listen to what we talked about.
Prior.
And, I was right. I said the Chiefs were beatable, and that's what happened. So tell us about your exit pays this weekend, Clint. Your story is better than my $20 bets.
No, I mean, I don't even know if I need to use the dollar amount, but I went into it significantly invested in Tom Brady, and I thought the way the Bucs had overachieved, that the potency of the Chiefs' offense was enough to beat the Bucs. Two things I didn't factor.
Yeah.
Strong enough. I factored them. The Eric Fisher, the left tackle for the Chiefs, was out. Number one overall pick in 2013.
And on the car ride down, that's all I was talking about.
Yeah. And here's where my problem was. A good offensive coordinator can scheme around a left tackle being their backup. So what they did is they moved Remmers from right to left because your left tackle is more important. And your right tackle, you can plug in your backup.
I can't remember. Wasn't there one other offensive lineman out?
Yeah, I think there was a guard that
I
was
never
hurt
looked
too.
that up.
Yeah. So, but here's the problem is, as I look back and think about that game, couple takes. One, I don't remember a single draw play or screen play, which is the very thing you do to use to slow down a defensive line. They never slowed them down. They never ran something to counteract. They never ran the ball even. Like, I don't think I remember do you remember a drop back pass where Mahomes had a 5-step drop and didn't have pressure?
No, he was pressured from the very first play. And I was sitting next to you and I said, look, that's the offensive line.
It's the offensive line. Now, and at that point, you know what you do? You start throwing quick screens to your receivers. You start running draw plays because you get the D lineman upfield, and and you actually
already passed the running back.
Yes, and the running back then has the middle of the field, which is they were covering deep well.
Right.
And they were taking away the sidelines, and they were forcing things in the middle. And to be honest, Mahomes played okay. I don't think he played his best.
I'm going to do a hard disagree with you. I've already mentioned this a couple of times. I've mentioned this to a bunch of my customers, and I've already talked about it before we started taping. I've had half a dozen customers come into the shop on Sunday and said, wow, Mahomes didn't play very well. I go, what game were you watching? That was the best performance. One of the best performances I've ever seen. Because there was obviously performances where the receiver caught the ball, so that was helpful.
Yeah, that helps.
So I could argue that was better.
Right.
But he was making play after play after play, hitting guys in the helmet, in the hands. I don't know if in the numbers, but probably.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey dropped a huge third down right in his hands.
How did he have a bad game?
Yeah,
how did Mahomes have a bad game?
He missed a few throws. I could show you a few.
I remember a couple.
His first 10 throws, he was like 3 for 10, and only like 2 or 3 of them were drops. He missed a couple like wide open.
Early in the game.
So like they started slow, and I'll say this much as I think about
again, he was getting pressured. I think he might have got pressured the first 10 plays.
For sure.
I don't know. We'd have to look at it, but he might have not had a plan.
If I was to think about the scenarios of how that game could go, if you were going to talk about which team's more likely to blow the other team out, I thought it was for sure the Chiefs. And I thought if it was going to be if the Bucs were going to win, it was going to be a close, like high-scoring shootout. And they actually won a defensive-dominated.
It was a blowout. I mean,
it was a blowout. Like there was never a point where the game was in striking distance other than the first quarter. I mean,
well, I'll put it this way. Today I got a PSA order back because everything has to do with cards.
Yeah.
I got 17 elite draft picks. So he's in college uniform. I got 2 9s and a 10 Mahomes rookie. I'm not even listing him.
Yeah.
The way he played, I wasn't a Mahomes believer. Like Mike, we were at your shop, and your partner Mike going on and on about Mahomes. What up, Mike? And I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. After that game, I'm a Mahomes believer. After that game.
I mean, the play, if you've seen the clip, the picture of him making that throw, horizontal.
The one where he's horizontal at the field.
It's maybe the most difficult throw.
How far did he throw it downfield? It had to been like 35
it was like almost 40 yards in there.
40 yards, and he didn't start throwing it until he was already almost in that position.
And his body's literally horizontal, and he somehow getting the ball.
And the ball went up.
The ball went up in the air, and I mean he had another one where he spun.
Forward. I mean, not high, but up.
Another one he had where he made that one crazy spin and threw on, was it third or fourth down, and it hit Hill, could have caught it.
Yeah.
I mean he had multiple times where his guys didn't.
No, the funny one was those 3 plays where he was running like Tarkenton backwards, like almost immediately. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, oh no, because what I was thinking was like, he's young, he knows he's gonna lose, he's trying to will his team to a victory, and I'm like, these are just bad sacks, and it's gonna be sad. No, he made the throw, the receiver dropped it. Yep. Like maybe one, he didn't make the throw, he didn't make the throw, but 2 out of 3 out of those plays, and he makes a really good throw, and it's the receiver that dropped it. Like literally in the face, man.
Now, did you see the stat that he ran for 495 yards before he threw the ball throughout that whole game? So he scrambled for almost 500 yards.
Sideline to
sideline, back and forth.
I didn't know they did that.
They do that. So
they watch how far you're actually running.
And everyone's like, oh my gosh, he was running for his life. What a game. And you know what I said to it? And I loved a couple posts I saw on Facebook. He was pressured on 60% of his throws.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins was too all season.
Right,
and everyone's like, Cousins isn't mobile. I'm like, do you realize what a quarterback without an offensive line looks like? It looks like that.
Right.
It's not fun to watch. Right. Even an athletic player like Mahomes still has a problem completing passes.
Cousins not an unathletic quarterback.
No, he's just not.
He's not a stature back there.
No, but he's also, he doesn't have great pocket awareness.
Not
yeah, he's not Mahomes. No, I mean, if he had the legs of Mahomes, he'd literally be doing what Mahomes is doing. If he could move like him, he feel like he has
shorter.
I feel like he has the arm talent of an elite.
Well, when we looked at the Redskins, you saw a lot of plays he was making with his legs.
It has to come back to my love for Kirk Cousins.
Right. It's Tom Brady and Kirk Cousins, the GOAT 1, GOAT 2.
So yeah, it was a painful game because I think everyone was thinking with that matchup of quarterbacks, you were expecting close, back and forth, and it was just so lopsided, and it was so interesting to see Gronkowski, who looked old all year. I don't even know if he had a touchdown all year. Had 2.
No, he had
like 1 touchdown all year, I believe. I'd have to look, but so good for Tom. I don't know if you've seen the clip of him and Gronk. Every time they win, they do a video of the two of them to the song Bad Boys for Life.
No, I didn't know that.
And they had the one of them walking on the tarmac to the plane from last week. And they're just like, and the song goes, we ain't going nowhere because we bad boys for life. I'm going
to look that up after that.
You two are the two most badass dudes.
After we go off air, Clint, I'm going to look that up.
So literally and then it was interesting that Brady said right away he's coming back.
Why
wouldn't he, with this good of a defense, why wouldn't he? And these many weapons?
Well, they're going to lose Godwin. And then I don't know who else they're going to lose for sure on the offense.
Are they even that
Godwin's
concerned?
Gone. They don't have enough money to pay him. What? Yeah.
Are they even concerned about losing him?
No, because the wide receiver core is deep. Who else?
Antonio Brown.
Which, yeah, but they could resign Brown.
Good for him to have a touchdown. It's been 10 years since he was in the Super Bowl.
I don't know if there's going to be massive demand for Antonio Brown, though.
No.
So they might be able to resign him, but Godwin's going to get so much money.
I'll say this much. There's people in the end of their career, there's guys at the end of their career who will take a cut to come and win one. They want to win. There's plenty of guys who have made tons of money and had tons of success that want to win a Super Bowl.
This Bucs team might be significantly better than this one.
And you know why? Because and I'll say this much. This is what I posted on Facebook yesterday was Tom Brady's not only the GOAT, he might be the greatest champion we've ever seen. And one of the signs of that to me is the fact that he's been willing to put the team first, both financially and laying aside personal accolades. You can tell guys love playing with him because he really is all about winning. And guys know if they want to win as much as he does,
you
better go play with them too, because people want to join that level of excellence. And so he's actually he's like Nick Saban is as a recruiter for Alabama, without even trying.
It's a tradition of winning, and that's one of the reasons why the Gophers don't do well is that they have this tradition of losing, and you have to start winning.
Yes.
And it's so hard to turn that ship around.
To turn it.
And it's also like with Alabama has 2 bad years, it really doesn't matter. They'll still recruit like crazy, and then they'll be good again because they have that tradition.
Well, and actually, speaking of Minnesota, it's really good for Minnesota. I saw they tweeted that to have both Antoine Winfield and Tyler Johnson on a Super Bowl team, to have, because they posted the teams that had more than one, colleges that had more than one player on the Bucs team or in the Super Bowl in general. It was almost all
Alabama.
Big Tens. Iowa had 2, I want to say LSU had 3, and so did Nebraska. Everybody else had 2 or less.
Let's go.
So I mean, you know,
and Winfield had a I thought it was unfortunate, although his defensive coordinator disagrees. Yeah, where he did he had the taunting call. I love it. I didn't understand the taunting call until
the history
after was when Tyreek Hill gave him that peace sign while scoring the touchdown. And I'm like, whatever. It's pretty awesome. I remember when it happened, I turned to you and I was like, I'm not a big fan of this. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. You know. But when I saw that, I was like, if he wants to do it to him, why can't he do it back? You know? Yeah, he did. He didn't do anything; he just held up 2 fingers.
And he got it in the bigger game in a bigger spot, and good for him. You know what I mean?
We were lamenting the Vikings not drafting Winfield. He was always around the ball when he was on the Gophers, and now that he's a professional on the Bucs, he's always around the ball.
And you could tell the difference of having him there because he didn't play against the Packers. That was a huge advantage. So the combination of the Chiefs' offensive line being weaker, them having Winfield back, and to be honest, I was disappointed by the Bucs' defense. I don't think they pressured Brady much at all, which is the way you could beat him.
But he was dinking and dunking the whole game. He wasn't.
And then the other thing was,
how many times did he go down the field? Twice.
Yeah, more than that, but
think so. Like
5,
straight
5,
up
6
down the field throw. I don't know if it's 5. I would
and I'll say this much: the big ones were penalties. The one to Mike
Evans. Like you.
Hey, the one to Mike Evans where they called the pass interference. So
that was a big one.
He took some big shots.
He missed one that I can't remember when, but he missed one big one. I'm having a hard time remembering any others.
I think the Chiefs mentally lost it on defense. Matthew they had some bad penalties. Yeah. They had a couple that were questionable, but then they also lost their composure. And you can tell in a big game, having a guy like Brady brings stability to your team versus that defense not having a guy to be the captain and kind of right the ship. And then it felt like when it started raining, it just poured, right? Like it was like the most penalized defense in Super Bowl history.
I'll tell you one bet that I was real mad about. So I had
let's talk some
$20 on Mike Evans getting the longest reception. He has a 31-yarder early, and I think, no way, it's not going to last. Got to have another one. We get to the end of the game, I'm like, I got it. I went in, I scanned my ticket, no winner. You're standing next to me. What the hell? You look it up. Kelsey had a 33-yarder. And I don't even remember.
Yeah, it wasn't even.
I remember there was a couple that were on the cusp, but I thought they was still under. So that would have been $130 for a $20 bet.
Just a bummer.
Well, no, you pick the one guy with the long reception, you get really good return on that bet. Return.
Think about this too. The bet that would have paid the most would have been I don't know the odds. I don't even know if this bet was offered from most places. But if you would have bet the Chiefs as a team to not score a touchdown,
that would have been a weird prop.
I bet it would have been 30 to it might have been 50 to 1.
Now, but that's one of those ones where you got to be in a big casino, and then you literally walk up to them and say, I would like to do this bet. They go into the dungeon and figure out what the odds are.
No, I would guess some of the big books
already
had thousands of props, and it was probably in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was already. But you can do that, right? Yep. You can literally go in the casino and say,
for sure,
I want to do this.
I want to make up
and then they'll figure out.
They'll figure it out.
Some all right, $1 billion to 1.
I mean, they just know that. Yeah, they'll know a spot. They'll figure out the problem.
They'll give you a big number because it's just not going to happen. Yep. Now, do we have verification on the streaker yet? Whether he put a bet on himself to get on the field?
That's what I heard. He put a.
I heard that it wasn't true though. After that.
Because that was a prop that there would or wouldn't be a streaker.
Yeah, so is that his buddy went on the field first to get caught?
Hey, the problem is if I made that bet, I would never publicly make that known. Yeah. The fact they did could actually bring legal action. It could void the bet.
So Vegas would be like, you can't manufacture that.
Now the problem is,
Pete Rose can bet on himself legally, right? The issue was never that Pete Rose made an illegal bet. He made a bet that violated baseball rules.
Baseball said it was violating.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't illegal.
Yeah, I don't think.
The casino can't take his bet away, I don't think.
That's a great question.
I don't know. Because he bet on himself. I tried to win. I did all that. But he's supposed to try to win, so. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting question. It'd be cool if we had a casino guy to talk to and ask that question.
That'd be a very curious question. Yeah, I mean, so... To my bet, I put a significant amount of money on the Chiefs at -3, which I lost, and I did it partly because it actually caused. I don't know if you recognize this in me watching it with me, but it did cause some turmoil because.
Oh, it did. You were very thoroughly
I was saying even during the game, I was actually cheering for Brady, but I was also wanting it to. Maybe I wasn't as much as I normally would.
Yes, what you said you were gonna do, and it was very clear you were not cheering for Brady.
Which was
You're
interesting.
fixated on that bet.
Yeah, that bet. But the reality it was a win-win for me because. So honestly, I thought the Chiefs had the better team, and had they been healthy, I think
you made the right bet.
Yeah, I think I made the right bet. I just don't think anyone saw the game going the direction it ended.
Like I said, I saw the Bucs winning, right? Yep. I thought the Chiefs were beatable. I didn't think they were the 98 Vikings.
No, not at all.
This is what I said to you. They're not the 98 Vikings, and the Vikings lost. So I don't tell you,
But the reality was the Bucs were a 4 seed that I thought overperformed in multiple games. I mean, it all came together for them, but they stayed healthy too, and they just here's the key really for them. The Bucs' 2 keys. One is their defensive line getting pressure on the quarterback, and then the other is the offensive line protecting Brady. Yep. And if those 2 things happen, that defense is way better than people think. Devin White is a monster.
Devin White was
Devin White is all over the place. I mean,
how many times did I poke you and be like, "Look at this guy! Isn't he right next to the ball again?"
Epic. I mean, he literally. I think I sold every Devin White card I had.
I sold a silver auto prism.
You had to have
for $15.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a beast.
He came up and I was like, I bet that's underpriced. It was 40 at the time, so it was underpriced. Yeah. I bet they're $75 now.
I mean, Dominican Sue. He had
Pierre-Paul.
I think he had 3 sacks.
Pierre-Paul had a sack.
Pierre-Paul. He had
3 sacks.
I think he had 3
sacks.
I
didn't realize that.
Yeah. I mean, he had that one where he crushed Mahomes.
Oh, yeah,
where he just got smoked. So I mean, hats off to a bunch of veterans on that D line for the Bucs to just hold it together. And then I think at every level they have players: Levante David, Devin White, obviously Winfield. I mean, they got a special team, and I mean, you can tell they like playing together. It felt like the Chiefs didn't have that same cohesiveness. Well, it felt like did you notice they were on the wrong page? I think it was McCole Hardman made 2 or 3 mental mistakes
right away.
They were not on the same page.
So wasn't that like first and second drive?
You're like, what's going on here?
By the way, I had McCole Hardman over on like 28 yards receiving. If he would have caught those 2, I would have won that bet.
Yeah, if he would have caught, man. So all in all, it was. I was happy the NFL season happened. I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't know how this was all going to go down with COVID.
And how many NFL players died of COVID this year?
Yeah, nobody.
I'm going to go with 0.
Go with 0.
Yeah.
So I mean, now we're not going to think about football much until probably the draft. I mean, it'll be interesting because there might not even be the combine.
Sport. Yeah. I mean, if you listen to talk radio, it's a year-long sport.
I'll say this much: in the sports card hobby is what we are. That's what we're talking about. I know a lot of guys that when they saw even a little dip in Mahomes are buying Mahomes, and I think that's the smartest. That's the opportunity that's available right now.
That's why when you were being all sharky trying to get my Mahomes off me today, I was like, no, I'm not selling Mahomes. I'm not listing him on eBay. Nothing. I'm just holding.
I put my money in good.
It's not gonna happen.
Equity.
So whatever we've been seeing in cards now, Super Bowl, I can tell you Brady like mosaic in a Buccaneer uniform, like silvers are going off the charts.
Yep.
Anything Brady's going crazy.
Yep.
I haven't really looked up what it'd be nice if I would prepare for this, but why would I do such a thing? Have we noticed any other players?
Yeah, so let me tell you the price movements by player across all sports in the last 7 days.
Can you narrow that down to football?
No, not this way. I can eliminate some. I can just tell you.
Because it would be nice to know like who like spiked just in the last 72 hours.
Number 1 on the list is Rob Gronkowski.
Well, yeah,
he's up 82%.
That makes sense.
Yep. The next football player on the list is actually not connected to the Super Bowl. It's connected to the Hall of Fame, which is Charles Woodson.
Okay.
Took a big jump, 60%.
And he was a seller. He's been a seller since he was retired. Like I've sold plenty of Woodson this year.
The first thing we did when we came back, other than start listing Bucs players, was we listed Woodson and Calvin Johnson specifically. We went looking for because he's been undervalued, so he's getting in on his first ballot as well. And I think Calvin Johnson, people still appreciate that he may have been the best receiver in the league for a 5-year span or 7-year span. 2,000 yards. So I think his prices are going to continue to move up. I think as people kind of remember.
He really needs to have, because his career is so short, because him as well as Barry Sanders hated Detroit so much they'd rather retire than to play for that franchise.
Yeah.
That's always a good indicator that you're running your team
well. And back to Rob Gronkowski, one of the things that's unique about him, he plays tight end, which is a bad position for sports cards. I mean, Tony Gonzalez, you can buy his rookies for $5, $8.
Well, by the way, everybody listening, if you want a ridiculously undervalued player in football, it's Tony Gonzalez.
Tony, he's the best tight end of all time.
If you look at his numbers, you're going to be blown away. You might be like, oh, yeah, Tony. Look at it.
No.
What is he, third all-time
in
receiving yards?
Yeah, I think so.
That's ridiculous. And receptions, he's 2.
Yeah.
I might be off by 1.
Yeah. I mean, he's amazing. But the thing that Rob Gronkowski has going for him is that he's forever tied to Brady. Yeah. And Brady's going to be
his personality itself. He's going to be in the news for the next 20 years.
Absolutely. He'll be in the public eye even long after football is over.
But
he's fun.
And that's a real thing. Let's talk about that. That's a real thing in sports cards. This is one of the reasons why I said Shaq was criminally undervalued. Is like he is on the halftime show. Yep. He's DJing at raves. He's always in the news, and I'm like, well, this is gonna pop at some point, and it has with Shaq. Right.
Well, and the thing about Gronk too is if you think about like Jordan and Pippen, it's like Batman Robin. Yeah. Like if you're gonna look at Brady's career, I mean, early on in his career, who was his Robin? I mean, he had Moss for a few years, but they didn't win. Then he had Welker, and then Edelman, and then Gronk was the best of those guys, other than Moss, but they never won one with Moss. Right. So it was like Gronk's the guy who's won 4 of them with him, 3 there, 1 here, and so. I mean, I think he's a good investment for a tight end.
Is there anybody else? I'm trying to think. It'd be nice to look up Evan. Maybe if you could do that. Could you look? Shoot, did I just forget his name? The linebacker for the Bucs we just talked about.
Devin White.
Devin White. Look up Devin White. Silver auto out of Prism, because when I sold that card, this was a week ago ish. It was $40.
Well, let me just talk about Brady's Bowmans for you guys, just on what those have done. So, like a paper Bowman. PSA 9 was about 1,500, I would say, in like mid-December.
Okay.
And then as they made their way through the playoffs, they got up to about 3,000. And then the last sale as of today,
50.
Okay.
45.
The last sale as of today in PSA 9 was 5,100. So,
crazy.
I mean, we've gone from 1,500, almost over 3X, just as a result of this. And part of it is I think Brady has the potential to reach Jordan levels in the future. So I think long term, you not only have, wow, he just won 7. This is crazy. But then you also go like, this guy's the clear best football player of all time.
And now, would you still argue that football is still the number 1 sport in cards? From a volume standpoint, from a dollar standpoint?
Domestically in the U.S., yes.
Okay.
Globally, not even close to basketball.
Oh, really? Basketball has surpassed.
Because we don't export football nearly like we export basketball, especially to Asia. I mean, I think the Canadians are big fans.
Even baseball can catch up to football a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Japan and the Chinese bias.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Japan, that's why I think you see a guy
the biggest sport in Japan.
That's why you see like Ichiro and Yao Ming are going to always forever have huge markets. Yeah. Whereas like football, I'm trying to think of a good Asian player, the linebacker from Notre Dame who's oh no, he's like Hawaiian, wasn't he?
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to think if there's been. I mean, there are some guys. Yeah, I mean, he. Maybe? So like, I don't necessarily see. So the Asian collectors I know in our business, our customers, tend to lean really heavy basketball.
Yeah, and they lean extremely heavy on only the best players.
Yes.
Like even second tier, all of a sudden there's a big drop off.
Yeah.
You know, so
and that's why
like
buy
literally Kobe, but they won't buy Iverson, which is like really weird. You're like Iverson's really good. It's like I'm probably wrong saying Iverson.
Yeah.
Because they probably buy a lot of Iverson. Maybe like
McGrady
David Robinson, Charles Barkley. That stuff
like that.
is not a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, and I think it's true in cards in general, but even more so true in that group.
Right.
But the reality is like
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we got a collection the other day, and it had a ton of really, really nice autos. And there was a Kobe auto and a LeBron auto, and literally there was just guys lined up to buy those too. And once we sold those, it was like, not that much. And now the rest of it's selling really fast on eBay.
Right.
But like the guys who wanted to spend the money want to spend it on 3 guys in basketball: LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe.
Right.
And then football, it's,
But we're seeing some big
Brady,
movers
Mahomes.
in basketball, one of them being Kevin Garnett.
KG.
And what is So what was the top going for 6 months ago? The top 10.
So.
Yeah, did you have any?
I haven't had a 10 in a while. A Topps 10 PSA 10 base card is up 100% in the last 7 days.
Wow.
And the 9s are actually up 150%. So 9s are up
That's
a greater
nuts.
percent, but less dollars.
That's usually the case.
Yep.
This is true in real estate as well. It's actually, from a percentage standpoint, the lower end actually appreciate harder.
But
because
just not
more
as much.
people can penetrate it.
Yep.
And so really it's the $48 million estates that are the ones that set. Because how many people got $48 million?
So, but if you have a $48 million estate and it goes up 10%, it goes up
it's
a lot more
massive
dollars
right.
than a house that's $200,000 going up 50.
Right, and so there's different ways of looking at it. Neither one being.
I actually just sold a customer a raw one today, and that's the only reason I looked this up. Somebody else had mentioned it, and the last sale on a PSA 10 Garnett rookie from 1995 was $2,250, and that card less than a month ago was under 800. Let me just confirm so you could have bought this card for $400 on December 27th.
Wow.
400. Now it's at 25.
Yeah. Well, we thought best offers, but yeah, it's over 2.
Wow.
But
So
easy.
from 4 to 2, so almost a 5. And here's what my thought on it. We were talking about this off air before we started. My thought is off air.
Evan.
Sorry, before.
Are we still on air, Evan?
Prior to recording is what I mean.
No, keep saying that.
One of my thoughts is this is the craziness of sports cards. A LaMelo Ball hoops rookie.
Geez.
Somebody told me it was going for raw $200.
Yep.
How the heck
is
he selling for 5 times of Kevin Garnett's rookie raw? That's foolish.
You know how it's happening?
How?
So what generally happens is, historically, the singles drive the price of the box.
Yes. Now the box
is driving the price of the single.
I agree.
That is not a sustainable situation.
No.
The box, because people want to rep, group breaks, online breaks, what have you, there's so much demand to rep.
Yep.
The box went up, and now people are like, well, it's a $400 box. The LaMelo Ball must be $200. No, wrong. Long term, that is not going to play.
No.
Long
Long term, like let's say 10 years from now, no one's going to look at me and go, oh, wow, the boxes in 2020 and 2021 were more than back in 2017, so we're going to pay more.
I'm going to tell you something. I had 2 boxes of hoop. Yeah. That's all I got, but I'm happy to get them.
Yep.
Had 400 on them. I told both my customers about them not to buy them.
Yeah.
Not to buy them, but I was like, "Are you sure you want to buy these?"
Well, that's good business.
They're $400. I don't think it's a great value. I got other things to buy, and they're like, "Nah, I just want to rip one." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Let me tell you this.
I'm telling them that it's too much.
So today I just looked up the fact that I had that PSA 8 LeBron in the case at 1,000. If LaMelo Ball is selling for $200, LeBron should be selling for $20,000.
$48 million.
Like that just doesn't make any sense. And not only that, the LeBron box was $50 when it came out. It doesn't matter that LaMelo's box is
I wrote this down today because I sold this morning. This morning I had a sale, and I like how we talk about things that naturally goes in there. So I'm going to tell you something. Mm-hmm. I sold 3 cards. So if people say cards are too expensive now, and my kid can't afford cards, and you can't afford cards on a budget, I'm going to tell you this card. 3 card sale. Ready? Mm-hmm. Terrell Owens.
Yes.
2009 Topps Unique Unis Gold, number 25.
Okay.
2009 Topps Triple Threads, base card number to $7.99. Mm-hmm. And a 2009 Certified Jersey Relic to $100.
Okay.
With tax, $13.77.
And I was looking this up. I don't know if you know this. Terrell Owens has more career receiving yards than Randy Moss. I think he's number 3 all time.
No, but listen, you're telling me you can't collect cards on a budget? You're crazy. Yeah, number to 25, number to 100 relic, and in triple threads, which is a ridiculously expensive product, even back before all this happened.
Right.
Under $14 after tax.
Awesome.
And so that's really great about this hobby.
It is
if you don't get suckered into the hype, and I don't want to say sucker. That's not. If you don't want to be in the hype,
and don't live in the fear of missing out,
you don't feel like you have to do what everybody else is doing because everybody else is doing it, and you want to live your own way, you want to collect your own way. There's so many opportunities to collect on a very small budget and get really nice stuff. Oh, yeah. Like that Jersey relic of Terrell Owens was a cool card and was numbered to 100.
Right.
And it was like, I think I had $4 on it.
Right.
I think that was the biggest card in the 3. And maybe the 1 out of 25 was 5. You know.
Well, I mean, I personally collect Paul Mahler.
Yeah.
So I went to the show this Saturday.
Paul Mahler is a great example.
Let's talk about the show for a second. The show in Bloomington, first Saturday of every month, fired up this week for the first time in 3 months.
Yeah.
I got there at like 8, maybe 8:15, and there was literally 1,000 people there already. It blew my mind how busy the show was, how much excitement there was. Obviously, what kind of prices people were excited about. And I think here's the good news: when the prices are up, there's been a bunch of people who have realized equity by selling, and now they have money to reinvest. So it creates this momentum in the hobby.
Correct.
And so I bought a bunch of Mahlers. I bought 5 graded 10s, 4 graded 10s, and a 9 from a guy for like $100. Like I buy the grading fee alone is almost $100 on those cards.
Yes.
If I was actually going to find them
if
raw
you send them right now, it's literally $80.
Like literally, I'm going to spend. It's like, yes, I'll take them all, please, thank you. You know,
well, another thing too is I stopped there on the way to meet with you and Savage, and I was there an hour before it closed. There was a couple hundred people there, and I was like, "Oh, it's really busy today." And then we talked to you, and you're like, "Nah, there's like 1,000 people there."
You couldn't hardly even move. I literally looked around. I told someone, I think there was more people on this last Saturday at that show than we had in an entire year in, let's say, 2016.
Right.
Which
wow.
let me tell you about a fun sale.
No, in terms of different people, you might absolutely be correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
not saying
people that went to every single show.
No, I'm saying if we maybe had 100 people at every show for an entire year, that's like 1,200.
I think we had more than 100 people at a regular show. Yeah.
There were some lean times. But I mean,
for a whole year of it. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think as far as different people, you're absolutely correct.
You want me to tell you a fun story about my first show?
No, I don't want to do fun stories on the podcast. Can you tell me a boring one that I don't want to do?
So, fun story. The first ever Bloomington card show I did, I reluctantly sold a PSA 10 Topps Chrome LeBron rookie for $500.
Ooh.
And my buddy just texted me. He just sold one off eBay for $41,000. So that's 82 times.
8,200%.
8,200%. And that card was sold in 2015. So in 6 years, that card's gone up 82 times.
Other than Dogecoin, what has done that?
Tesla, like literally 4 stocks.
It has to be like ridiculously small cap stuff that hit.
And it hit really, like Netflix, maybe if you bought it 20 years ago or something.
No, I do want to talk about a little something else about on the budget side. Is I wrote this down for the last podcast, but didn't get to it. And I only have one example, even though there's a bunch of them. I just didn't have time to look them up. But I had sold a Kobe Bryant 2004-05 Fleer Sweet Sigs base card. Now, this isn't a big deal. They sell for $5 to $8, but something that people should keep an eye out for is in the early 2000s, towards 2010, there are all these relics where they're all the rage, right?
Yep.
And so you're always trying to get a jersey card, and they started making these products where you got a jersey card per pack.
Yeah.
These were actually pretty limited products, so you would get like a jersey card and maybe like 3 base cards.
Yeah.
These base cards are far more rare than people think they are. So from a print run standpoint, that Sweet Sig Kobe, I don't know how many were made, but in the last 3 months, between what's listed and what's sold, it's only 90 cards.
Wow.
And so that gives you an idea what the print run might be. It might be like 1,000, it might be 2,000, because these were like $10 packs.
Yep.
And they weren't selling. This is in 2004. They were $10 pack, and you got 1 relic and like 3 base or 4 base. And so that's something to keep an eye out for when you want to be a real shrewd collector.
Yeah.
Upper Deck Game Used Edition. I'm trying to think of some other products from the early 2000s that were like those 1 jersey per pack or an auto per pack. And one of the classic ones is Ultimate Collection base cards.
What about did you ever open UD graded?
UD graded.
How many of the actual slab cards did you get in a box? Was it like a 1-pack box?
Oh, UD graded I never
where
opened.
They actually gave you the graded card. There was ones, and they were usually SGC, I want to say, like at the start, I think.
Beckett.
Were they Beckett?
Yeah,
okay.
they were Beckett.
So I mean, that was an interesting concept. They were trying to introduce grading. Obviously, that was
right. And so that's something. It's just one of those shrewd things where, again, if you don't have a big budget, you can actually get stuff relatively rare. That means relative to other cards.
Right.
Really on a
Which,
buck.
by the way, speaking of shrewd, last week Evan sold me an unopened box of MVP 1999 basketball.
There you go.
So I took it back and I let one of our customers.
Looking for that Donovan McNabb.
No, basketball.
Oh, basketball.
One of our
What
customers.
were we looking for in 99?
Let me tell you. I asked one of our customers. Goes, hey, well, who's on this? I go, I'm gonna check out the auto list. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, auto to 23. The card just sold for $25,000. I go, if I were you, buddy, I'd keep this unopened because it's a $250 box, and the fact that there's only been like 5 of these sold on eBay
and
means
as long as it's unopened,
it's
you
got
have a part of a Michael Jordan
auto, and they're on card Bulls to 23. I'm like, oh my! I'm like, yeah, it's all.
What product is that? 99 2000
MVP. It's like a super cheap box back then, and you could
it was
pull
a really cheap box. You could get that box for $40.
You could pull a Jordan auto. Can you believe that, dude? Back in the day, I'm like, what?
Wow.
I would have literally just been driving around buying all of them.
Fair enough, because that was, they Upper Deck still had the license, and they were putting Jordan and everything.
It was a super, super hard pull.
Oh,
obviously.
yeah.
Like, all the other autos on the list aren't even numbered, and there's probably hundreds, and then his was
probably
23.
3 Jordans or 1.
Yeah. No, there's 23 of them. They're hand numbered.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hand numbered. Because I've actually seen the last one sold was like 4 of 23. So
very cool.
Yeah, 25,000. So thanks, Evan.
No, yeah. So I mean but that's the real thing with unopened products.
I won't tell you if he pulls a Jordan.
Dude, tell him. That'll be
Don't.
I've already told him a couple of things. His face is funny. He's like
huh?
like,
don't tell me.
Why'd you say that to me? All right, so we got a question.
Yes.
Atomic Zombie Android.
Nice.
First of all, thanks for asking questions. Like, you're starting this stuff and getting comments is kind of a big deal. And I actually like his questions. We actually have something to talk about. So I'm going to read it verbatim. But we already got our answers to some of it. Is why are these podcasts posted a week late to YouTube? Is there a platform that gets it the same day? Yeah, it's not a podcast problem. It's a Evan problem.
Oh,
and
man.
Evan has already committed to getting the podcast out within 3 days of us taping. He's committed. He's going to do it. And so my response to this was, yeah, Evan, get off your butt. What's the problem? All right, but he did have a question. He said, love discussion on eBay standard envelope versus PWE. And then he just asked question, what printer labeler do you guys use for your eBay business?
Great question.
I will start because it still drives Clint crazy, and I don't.
You don't have one yet?
No, listen to me.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna.
There's
be
a tiny percentage of me that doesn't want to do it because it irritates you so much, and I'm willing to take the labor hit.
I'm so sad for your loss of efficiency. Wow.
So I'm still printing my labels out on paper, cutting them, taping them to it.
You
and
have got to
Clint
be kidding
nuts.
me.
It drives
No
him
wonder.
nuts.
No wonder the shop is dirty. God, you're wasting your time cutting labels.
Nuts. But yeah, that is not an efficient way.
And that's
of doing
not
it.
scalable to the level. Hopefully, all of you want to scale.
It is not. So what do you use?
We use a Dymo 450 Turbo. Now that one specifically, I like the wider Dymos a little bit more.
No, Dymo is just a sticker label printer.
It's and so it's inkless. It actually burns the label.
Right.
So there's no
you got to refill.
There's no ink costs. The labels we buy on 150 labels per roll, and I think we buy like 30 rolls for like $25. They last us about 6 months.
4,500 labels. Then.
Yeah, about 4,500 labels.
How much does it cost for the case?
It's like 30 or maybe it's 50 shipped-ish, somewhere around 50.
Yeah, so 50
so they're a couple cents a
pound.
piece essentially. They save so much time.
Yeah, they do.
You don't have to cut anything. You just boom, stick it on. There's a couple good brother brands. I like Dymo. There's a bunch of good YouTube videos on how to set them up, how to integrate them with eBay. Certain label printers, you have to adjust some settings to get them to print the label.
Yeah, there's a pretty common question of like, I can't get this to print, and so the startup can be kind of a pain.
Yep.
But once you get
it took me about a half an hour to get it plugged in, situated, figure it out, and now I actually use that label printer not just for shipping labels. I use it for labels that we make for pricing, for headers, for however you guys store your cards. That's always a big question. Like we actually print the name of the player alphabetically by last name, and we
Right.
actually print those labels so they all are uniform on our headers. So every year we have 20 new rookies we're going to print for each
Print it
sport,
out,
and then
yeah.
we print them out. So we use that thing for a lot of other things. Which the reason I did it not only for efficiency is I was probably spending $100 to $150 more per month on ink when I was using an ink printer
absolutely.
than using this.
Yeah, so and here's the thing, like even if you're low volume, but the upfront cost of the printer is not going to hurt you.
Yep.
The printer's going to last probably forever if you don't use it a lot, and then
Right.
if you do use it a lot,
Now we have ink printers too.
You're
'cause
going
we
to
use that
run
for
a
other
ton
stuff.
through before it breaks. So it's probably going to break based on how much you use it, not on how long.
The
you've had it.
cost on like that Dymo, I want to say, is between $200 and $250. There's a
Right.
wider one that makes a 4x6 label that's maybe $300 to $350. But great. I mean, obviously, as an upfront investment, I'd say in time it takes, because right now the last few, like even on Monday, I think we shipped like 35 packages.
Right.
It probably cuts, and we're actually paying one of our employees
Right.
to
Oh, well,
ship.
now you're saving on the actual payroll cost.
We're saving on payroll along with ink and
For
all
2
that.
cents for an upfront cost of
Yep.
$300 and 2 cents.
And then I don't have to use the tape. I don't have to, all
absolutely.
the added stuff.
I
And
thought-
I'm
this is one
convincing
of those-
John
No,
to
this is
do.
one of those things where, like, I have a fear of flying, and I know it's irrational. And the concept why I don't just set it up tomorrow, because I actually have one that I bought
That's
from
the
you guys.
best part. I sold
I
you
actually
one.
have one.
I actually went out of my way to try to help solve it.
It's in my kitchen, I
Oh,
believe.
John.
So I did have another question by a customer that came in today.
Cool.
Now, this is my favorite kind of question because it's just something that he asked me, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write that down for the podcast.
Nice.
Because I don't know the answer to it. I think I know the answer to it. So if you got a card and it's already authenticated by PSA,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to get it slabbed, can you get it slabbed and not pay for the authentication by PSA, or is PSA going to go, nah, in order to slab it, we got to authenticate it as well?
When was the card issued?
Was it issued?
Yep.
Well, no, it's an in-person SIG. It's not a pack pulled auto. So it's already stickered by JSA.
No, you can't.
So you have to get it re-authenticated by PSA.
And I believe the reason for that is they don't want people being confused that a card that's in a PSA slab
There's a PSA authenticated.
is therefore, in other words, and this actually transitions phenomenally into the topic I wanted to cover. There's an increasing number of fake PSA slabs showing up on eBay. One of the things PSA has done to stay ahead of all the counterfeiting is to update their label.
Right.
They've done it. We're on like the 4th generation of labels, and they call it the lighthouse label. So in the center of the label, there's a little lighthouse holographic
Yeah.
that actually, if you turn it at different lights, similar to like the dollar bill, it actually has some of the same fitting measure, protective measures. There's some ink that under black light only shows up on the PSA label. On the back, there's a barcode, all these things. And actually, this is something for people to keep in mind online. So PSA really is protecting their brand by not allowing you to submit a card that's in-person autoed to not be authenticated, because you could then therefore try to deceive someone who's maybe newer into the hobby and doesn't realize, oh, this card's graded a 9, therefore the autograph's authentic.
So is that anything like grading the auto and not the card and having a pop one of a card? Anything like that?
Say that again. Is that...
So you have a bad condition card and it's
Yep.
got an autograph, and you grade the auto 10, and now it's a 10 PSA 10?
Now, a true
talked
collection,
about that before.
Yeah, we did. And that, now I'll say this much. The reasoning for that could be nefarious, and it also could be just, there's actually people who collect just auto 10s too. And it is worth more in an auto 10 than in a non-graded, authenticated auto. But it does.
You can position it in a certain way.
And
PSA 10.
Well, and I see people doing it all the time with like BCCG 10s.
Yeah.
They think they're buying a Beckett 10. It's not.
BCCG is really a money grab by Beckett.
Yeah.
It was not. It didn't serve any real purpose.
Right.
It served one purpose. It served the purpose to give
novice
repack
collectors.
people. Yeah. No, give the repack people a cheaper option.
Yep.
And to say that they're giving you 10s when.
And to say they're giving you one guaranteed graded card.
And they were just so the way BCCG. Do you know what that stands for? Beckett.
Great question. I'll figure it out.
Beckett, Walmart, grading, whatever.
Exactly.
So all it was they gave you basically by a 10 meant that you would get at least a 9. It could be a 10, but it was at least a 9. And then a 9, I believe, would be at least an 8, but it could be up to a 10. They were just kind of giving you, it's guaranteed to be at least this. So it's funny because the 10 is actually a 9. It really should have been a 9. It should have said, hey, this is 9 or better, and that should have been.
So basically what they're doing is they're lumping categories. So BCCG stands for Beckett Collectors Club Grading.
Collectors Club, right.
So they actually, they're significantly less expensive. I want to say they're like bulk. They're like $7.
Right, but when it first came out, I want to say it was like
$4 or $5.
Yeah.
The problem is now here's something on an investment side. Something as a more experienced collector is understand there's some really good condition cards in BCCG 10s, and you could buy those if you buy the card, not the grade, and actually crack them out and grade them and actually
they're at least
the
a 9.
Yeah,
and Beckett. No, I believe if you send it in like that, I don't know this, but I would assume if you send it at already slabbed at BCCG 10, Beckett's going to guarantee you a 9 on that.
I think so.
I think that's the way that
works.
works.
But they're not. So BCCG does not have subs given.
Right.
One of the now Beckett is doing a similar thing. They are offering a no sub BGS slab.
Yeah.
And if you notice, they're selling significantly less. Now, and I would say sometimes people are doing that because they have a min 9.5. So a min 9.5 is 3 9.5s with a 9.
Right.
And they purposefully are sending lower grade cards.
Yeah.
Not getting subs. They're saving money. They're getting them quicker. And then they're also
not getting that downgrade.
They're not disclosing the downgrade.
Right.
Whereas if you had a true gem plus, it would be advantageous for you to have the subs.
You wouldn't want to use it.
You wouldn't want to use it. So so here's what people need to understand about Beckett and with PSA. Within PSA 9s, you have a huge range of condition of cards. Now that may seem weird to someone.
And that's the off-center side too. It's like you can have a dead-on 50-50 10, and you can have a 60-40 10.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time, buy the card, not the slab. Now the crazy part is, to someone who's not into grading, they look and go, I can't tell the difference between an 8 and a 7 and a 9. But as your eye gets more advanced, you can actually tell the difference between two different 9s.
Yeah, you can.
You can tell the difference between two different 8s. Because like you said, you could actually have a 5 that is dead centered that has soft corners, or you could have a average corner way off center 5. Because
you'd rather have the better centered card. Usually.
Most of the time.
Most collectors prefer it.
And so obviously now there's some companies that are starting to sticker different grades to actually create a distinction. So like PWCC has an A for the top 15% of centered cards. So if you send in a PSA 9 to them of a Jordan rookie and it fits the qualification of the top 15%, they put a sticker on the back. So what are they,
top 15% of all the cards in 9?
Of all the cards in 9. So they actually have photos of all the cards that they've sold, and they actually compare them.
And they'll say, of the ones we've sold, this is the top. I think 15 is a weird number to
so
go
they
at,
do, I want to say, I'll pull it up, but I think they do top 15.
I think it would be top 10 or top 20, not 15 seems like a weird
there's
number.
There's a few different.
They have multiple ones of these.
There's multiple. They have A, B, C, I believe.
Okay.
And if you notice, a lot of people have actually asked me. I've had one of these come into the shop where someone bought a PWCC top card, and the back of the slab has a cert stickered to it from them saying this qualifies as an A grade. That is totally recognized within the hobby as legitimate.
PWCC
like the market
is a market leader.
It's a market leader in selling, and so they actually say, especially with PSA does not have a 9.5. They have 8.5, 9, and then 10.
So you
so
sort
within
of need
9,
a high 9.
You need a high 9.
Separate it.
And they actually distinguish between 10s. So in other words, there are Jordan 10s that are slightly off center, and then there's dead center Jordan 10s. There's 45-55, and there's 50-50. And so the 50-50 they actually give.
And they have no black label. They have no gold label like SGC does.
So they don't distinguish a pristine in a way. So that's why PWCC comes in and does.
And really, PSA could you mentioned before that you didn't think that PSA should go to half grade, and I agree with that.
Yep.
I think it sort of ruins what it is, but they really should have a pristine.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that they're really losing out on is not having a black label, a gold label, purple label, whatever the heck you want, where you're going, hey, this is not just a 10, but this is the best 10 you're going to get.
So I'm looking at PWCC's website. For those of you guys who are not aware, it stood for pre-war originally, card collector. That's the name. I think Brent's
modified a bit.
And then now it's PWCC Marketplace. So on their site here, they actually have 3 levels. They have top 5%, 15, and 30. And if you look at the prices, they have Hank Aaron 5s across the board. 70% of the market, they're averaging between 17 and 2,200. Their top 30 brought an extra 200. Another 400 on the top 15, and the top 5 sold for almost $1,000 above a regular 5.
Right.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a distinction within each level.
I think there's a marketing aspect to it, but it's also a how do you say? They're trying to make their customers have more faith in what they're selling by fully and accurately disclosing what it is that they're selling. Because it'd be one thing if all they ever sold was the top 15%.
Yep.
But they also sell the bottom 70.
Right.
And they don't try to pretend like every card is top 15%. They go, well, it doesn't have that distinction, then it's the bottom 70, right?
Right.
And that's one of the things that I do in KBID is I try to accurately describe what this is, and I tend to overly bash my products. Mm-hmm. You know, if there's a problem, I call a lot of attention to the problem.
Yeah.
And the reason why is I don't care about taking a hit on that lot.
Yep.
Now, sometimes my client might disagree with that, but I believe in the long term, all my clients are going to get so much more money for all of their stuff because we accurately described the lot.
And now I would say the key there is I would lean more towards accurately describing it versus going overboard.
Well, it's not overboard, but it's saying hey, these corners are bad. Definitely look at the corners, rather than go, oh, it's mid grade. Yeah. You know, it's not mid grade. Look at it. You know what?
It's pack fresh.
John's favorite. No, that is called overselling a card. You say, hey, I just pulled this and put it into a top loader. You see that all the time on eBay. Sure. It went right from the pack. I have seen so much jacked up cards come right out of a pack. It's completely meaningless. I'm more than willing to throw somebody out of my store for legitimately trying to argue that. I'm going to go full Mike Hansen on this one and just throw people out. Like, how dare you say a bad thing about Jordan? I'll be like, how dare you say pack fresh in my store?
Dude,
I hate that
Mike
term.
Lost it on Monday. When I tried to tell him Brady's better than Jordan. Totally joking, obviously.
By the way, cross boards and he's
you got to cross boards. I mean, he's like, he literally got up and this is classic. He unzips his sweatshirt and underneath he's got the shirt with Jordan riding a goat with a cigar and 6 rings on. And he's like, look at this. He never lost one. And I'm just like, this is the best ever. What is going on?
In my PSA order, I got a really cool Nolan Ryan in there that I'm going to send off to this guy who's done some graphic stuff for us. Mm-hmm. And he never wants to take payment, so I make him take a little payment. But now I'm like, who's your favorite player? I'm like, all right. Yeah. So I've been looking for something. This is cool. It's a blue silver pack refractor of Nolan Ryan.
Nice.
PSA 9. Numbered to like 150. It's like the 84 design. He's an Astro, so I think he's gonna really like. He's a Dodger fan, but like, who doesn't like the old multicolor Astro jersey, right? And so, but I gotta get him to make me something where like it's got LeBron doing like a dunk, like John Morant did on Kevin Love, but it's
Jordan.
LeBron on Jordan, just
superimpose Jordan in there,
putting things in his face. And here's the thing, I gotta wear it and just walk in the shop and not call any attention to it. Yeah. Just be like, how you doing? And he's gonna throw me out of the store. I'm gonna get banned from your store.
You know, this is what I love about the Jordan guys. The Jordan guys are so they're so serious. Do you remember at the first National, we had a bunch of Jordans, and Mike actually, he's like, I know some of these guys from collecting Jordan from back in the 90s. Like, those guys are super tight-knit, and they're still, like, so passionate. It's just, I love it. I'm like, this is the best.
No, but that's what I mentioned while we were waiting for you to go to Iowa. I'm like, yeah, I bought that card from Clint that's got the GOAT and Jordan on there.
The GOAT and Jordan.
And I think he knows I'm trying to irritate him, so he, like, accept it a little bit more for me. Yeah. He's more willing to just argue the case. I don't know why he's arguing the case. I pick on him just to pick on him. And
wow.
But he goes, yeah, we had an argument on Facebook about Jordan. I defriended a couple of people. Defriended people because of their position on Michael Jordan.
You just can't beat it.
Defriended. Now, I did a look boring. These weren't exactly his bosom buddies. But the people he'd known for a while.
They weren't actually family members or anything. They weren't that close.
What'd you say? You said, I'm part of family, right?
So back just to hit one more topic on the fake slabs, guys. One of the things.
So how can we ID some of these? Because I don't know a lot of background on how to tell.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously we're on a podcast here, so I can't actually show people, but I'm gonna kind of just walk through.
Hey, Evan, maybe.
So one of the things on a card is when you look, if you're buying a high dollar card, now if you're buying a $100 card, it's probably not worth the time for someone to put that in a fake slab. So you're probably okay. But when you start spending
you gotta
thousands,
break out the high dollar card and put it.
Yeah, I mean you got. So what you want to look at is one thing you can do if you haven't downloaded the PSA app is you can scan a barcode or you can enter a cert number and it'll tell you when that card was graded. What type of holder it should be in. And right now there's cards on PSA's site that if you type in the cert, it says it should be in the new Lighthouse label, but it's actually in the old label. And the reason is because the old labels are much easier for them to counterfeit. And even as Evan was saying before we started, like people can buy blank labels and cases for PSA. Now they're not actually the PSA ones. And here's the other thing.
They look similar.
Now here's the other thing about PSA labels. On the very back, on the bottom, there's a little PSA mark. On the if you actually hold up the slab, now you can see this where it's white in between the letters. There is PSA very lightly in the background behind the actual number.
There.
So do you see that little so it's PSA, and then the actual Lighthouse symbol is really glittery, and it's two colors, and as you turn it, the colors flip back and forth. No one's been able, like the counterfeiters in China or whoever's making these, they don't have that down
Not only that,
yet.
like the barcode with the new slabs, they don't know how to make the barcode go to the right card, and they're never going to be able to do that.
Now, if you've noticed, there's a trend right now on high-end cards where people that post them on eBay are covering up their cert number, because what people are doing is they're actually stealing a cert number from a legitimate PSA-graded card, putting that on there, so when you type it in, it actually tells you.
I've noticed that a lot. I didn't know why they were doing that.
Yep, they're doing it. They're doing it. It's anti-counterfeit.
They don't want a copy of their card out there.
Yep, and interesting enough, I just added a molitor that I bought on eBay to my registry, and it actually sent me a message saying this is in someone else's registry. They had to send them a message to take it off theirs. One of the benefits.
They don't force you to take it off, or how does that work?
I have to go back. I have to go back and look. No, I think it'll just notify them, and I think it eventually
because
will.
I got 4 shacks in my registry that I was testing out that are owned by other people now. So
you need to take them out, because if they want to add them to this,
and it'll say, "Hey, take this off,"
and then you'll pull it out. They'll put it in.
And otherwise, I might guess they force.
And one of the benefits to that is if someone, let's say you had a card stolen. And then it got sent to auction. That person bought it, put it in the registry. You would actually be able to find
potentially track
the owner.
back.
You could track it back to, or you could track back to at least who owned it first.
Right.
You might not actually be able to, however that.
You have
works,
a place report. You have the serial number.
So PSA,
how that settles.
PSA is obviously doing what they can. When you start talking about $41,000 Chrome LeBron rookies, $250,000 cards, like they're doing what they can to make sure that they're staying ahead of the curve of the.
Now, I just thought of this. For those, I guarantee you, we don't talk about what we're going to talk about in advance. At least, we briefly discuss it. What are the chances that the government's going to be getting involved in the hobby with the dollar amount? Like when we're dealing with $100 cards, government can care less. But from a tax standpoint. Because there's a lot of money laundering in cards.
Yep.
There's a lot of tax evasion in cards.
Yep.
And then just with the dollar amount, because the way government gets into pretty much any industry is they say, we need to be involved to protect you, right? And I've already made a prediction that the breakers, I don't know when it's going to happen, but the government's going to get involved in the breaking. And you're going to have to buy a license from the state in order to do group breaks. What happens is I keep saying, like, these bad actors are going to create a law
Sure.
to protect people, and everyone's gonna have to pay the government.
Well,
a fee.
and I think the people that are doing razzes are the first more so
Yep.
than breakers because they're actually
PayPal's already cracking down on them.
raffles and stuff. Yeah.
They're already banning accounts. If you say Raz, if you say I don't really care about Razzes so much.
But there's a lot of people doing it, and they're using cards as the mechanism by which they're.
Especially you talked about this earlier in the podcast, where they got the buyback feature, so they're not even raffling the card. They're just doing a pull tab.
It's a pull tab. Yeah.
You know,
it's a pull tab
money,
under the
but-
guise of
right,
cards.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But cards are super liquid, so the reality is a lot of people would rather take in this market. I would rather take a card at 100% value with the chance for it to increase over an 85% buyback or 80% buyback.
And depends on the card too.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you get a card that's not all that great.
Yeah.
You know, like, fair enough.
So
But
it is.
what do you think? What are
There
you
is
thinking?
there is gambling. There is a gambling aspect to it. I think the difference between a pull tab or like a slot machine is if you lose the slot machine, you have no additional opportunity to redeem or
You're at
gain
zero.
value
You're
back.
at
You're at
zero.
zero. Whereas if you open a box of cards and you throw that box of cards on the shelf, you actually have something. You have physical assets. Now, each of those players, and this is actually the downside to sports cards over Pokemon, but it's also the upside.
Yeah.
A player can emerge who was nothing,
Correct.
but we were talking about this today with some people. The nice thing about Pokemon is they don't tear their ACLs, and they don't have off seasons, and they don't make comments that affect their value in political.
Yeah, no doubt.
They stay out of that whole arena.
They don't kneel. They don't kneel during the
They don't
national
kneel. Yeah,
anthem
they don't
or
do a lot of
whatever.
things.
And then, one of my friends during the Super Bowl, actually, it's not even a friend. It's a guy I knew in high school, but I'm friends with him on Facebook. But I showed it to you, right before the game started.
Yeah.
He goes, I sure hope a football game breaks out from this lecture that we're having.
Yeah,
it was 20 minutes of being lectured.
It was ridiculous.
It was just and I looked around the room. Everybody was on their phones. Nobody.
It's just
was
like,
watching
are
this
you
stuff.
serious?
I don't
We're
wanna
so
hear it.
used to it. It's just like, really, you're gonna talk about me
And
being
by
a
the way-
hero if I take the vaccine?
By the way,
Well,
let's
thanks.
think about the messages. The NFL's authority on morality and anything. I'm a big believer in
Play the game.
Just play the game.
Yep.
This is supposed to be the escape.
Yep.
And now I can't even escape by watching a ball game.
Right.
That's a net negative for society in general.
It's actually a way. It's a unifier. Like I can unify around me cheering for
Yep.
the Twins with a whole bunch of Minnesotans that are probably not all in the same political religion. I mean, but guess what? There's actually a bridge that's built relationally, which is a
Absolutely.
benefit versus more ostracizing
And
more.
now we're going to take sports and divide people even more.
Yeah.
And it's
like
and you're absolutely right.
that's ridiculous.
Sports is really the one thing
It's a
in
unifier.
history that has brought people together because we just cared about the game.
Well, let me ask you this: thinking about the Bucks physical football team, where else is a 23-year-old African American and a 43-year-old white guy, Tom Brady? Where are they unifying to the level they are,
Hanging
other
out
than
at the same place.
the military or the,
Right,
you know what I mean, like
right.
or on a sports team? So the camaraderie of sports, not only as a player,
But
as a coach, as a fan,
from
is
the player standpoint, it's not such a big deal. But if you go, how about you're at the bar? And
Yeah.
There's two people that are living different lifestyles.
Yep.
But they both love the Bears.
Yeah, it's
And
awesome.
they're at the bar together, and maybe they'd be kind of looking at each other like, this guy. But on Sunday, they're just giving each other high fives
It's
and
the
let's
best.
go. Well, not high fives. Like they're probably gonna lose.
I can't tell you how
They'll
many.
be sad
Yeah,
together,
the Bears.
you know.
I can't tell you how many random fans at games I've hugged, high five. Like I literally like. I mean, if I would have been watching them. Oh no, I remember Applebee's when Cousins threw that ball to Thielen that we beat the Saints on the road. I would literally hug some stranger. I was just like, when we won that game, I was like, oh, it was phenomenal.
No, yeah,
It's
I've
the best.
done that plenty of times. I strike up a conversation, and then all of a sudden, yeah, and then
It's
I want to talk to this guy.
one of the reasons we love sports.
Absolutely. So I've been doing this the last few. I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yep.
Scoring leader, the NBA.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal's still number one. He went down a couple points, 33.3, 5-1-4-5. Curry has broken into the top five. What did he score?
He had 52, I think.
52?
Yeah, against Luka. Yep.
He's number two, 29.5.
And lost him.
5-5-6-1. Durant moved down to third, 29.5, 7-4-5-2. Actually, his rebounds and assists went down a little bit too. Joel Embiid now has cracked top 5.
Embiid is making an MVP
Real
case.
case.
Right now.
Listen to this: 29-3, 10-7 rebounds, dude. So
Yeah.
like a strong rebound side. 2-7 assists, and Damian Lillard, 29-1, 4-5, 7-3. But I got one guy I didn't have anybody talk about, and then I clicked on PER, some sort of efficiency rating I know nothing about, and it brought me to a player that I didn't recognize, Chris Boucher. Do we know this name?
No.
So he,
What year? Yeah, when was
2017 draft pick Warriors. He was on the Raptors championship team.
How do you spell his last name?
Boucher. He
Who did he
had
play for in
his
college?
last
I
3
don't remember.
games. He scored 17, 29, and 12. So he had that 29-point game was kind of a breakout
Well,
game.
Fred
for him.
VanVleet blew up too for Toronto.
So right now his line is 13-8, 6-5-1. But here's the deal: he doesn't have any rookie cards.
He doesn't.
He has none.
When's his first card?
You know what his first card is?
Huh.
The 2018-19 Panini Instant Raptors championship set. Is his rookie card. Now, I want to say I saw a Noir card from his rookie, so I might be wrong on that. There might be some high-end set that he has. But so his autos...
So he's not in contenders even?
He's in a bunch of... he has a bunch of autos from 1920 and this year.
Wow.
They're all selling $40, $50, for just like a base auto. So, he's a guy to keep an eye out. But here's the thing. I bet you there's a lot of autos, because I'd never even heard of him before, where there's a lot of guys that don't look up every card. I'm looking at you, Damien. And they don't look up cards, so they get like Chris Boucher in a collection. They're like, I don't know, $4. They throw him in auto box.
Right.
Keep an eye out for him at the card show, and those 3 for $20 autograph boxes. You might find them if you see one from last year. Premium stock or whatever, like premium stock might be $8 on the thing. They're $40, $50.
Nice. One other big set to keep an eye on that I didn't realize had gone up like it has until I did that actual thing. I comped a card that a customer wanted to trade.
Yeah.
Is last year's Donruss Net Marvels cards are exploding.
Oh yeah.
Like even like a low,
Really
like
nice
I want to say like a Joel Embiid or something. We got like $40
You wanna
for
hear
it.
something sad?
Like a raw LeBron's like $400.
Right before the season started, I sold a Bradley Beal for like $6.
Yeah, they're like
That's
well, and
probably not
but
working.
that's the thing is
They're
they were literally worth it. And I'm not even talking about the press proofs. The press proofs are worth that much more.
It's not an easy card to get, but it's not rare by any means.
No, and what it is I think it's got that comic kind of look to it. It's got
The great card.
it's kind of got what. By the way, there's a new card out. I don't know if you know about this. Do you know about have you seen the New Horizons basketball cards? It's a combination of Downtown and Kabooms.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
They
Brochure
came out of their
Horizon.
own product. They have like stuff in the ocean flying.
That's
Like
awesome.
so, I got
Well,
I got a
Panini
text.
points.
Yeah, the Panini points. You can get them on their website.
Oh,
I believe
nice.
they come in their own packs.
No,
They're
going
awesome.
back to Net Marvel,
Very cool.
it looks like a case hit.
Yeah,
That's one of the reasons why. You just look
and
at
there
it,
are
that's a great card.
and there are press proofs. And I actually I've started sending them to grade because they actually grade pretty good. They're like the stock on them is better than the base Donruss card. It's like a little glossier, and so that's a card
really
to look
nice
out
card. So that goes to show too in cards is if you really like the way a card looks and you get it, you look at the market, maybe it's not a big deal from a price standpoint, but you're like, I really like this card.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a good indicator to hold on to them,
For sure.
buy more of them. Because if you're, I do this a lot in apparel, right? So when you're at the thrift shop, you're looking at stuff and you see a lot of stuff you've never seen before, and you go, "Oh, this is really cool. Someone's gonna love it." If you say that to yourself, like, "Oh, this is really great,"
Somebody
you're
else
probably
will.
not the only person that thinks it's really great.
Right.
And so the same thing with cards. If you go, this is kind of a common insert, but it's a really nice card. A lot of other people.
And
are
it's
probably saying
similar to what we've talked about. One of the things that's starting to increase value of cards is like the photography of the
Yes.
card, which like in baseball, everyone loves Stadium Clubs, really well known for their photos.
that.
But
I
then
graded a Gavin Lux base Stadium Club card just because I like the photo.
the photo,
so
yeah,
well.
the photo's so
And
cool.
I unfortunately attended, but because at 9 wasn't.
And now a card that is iconic that has an awful photo can still be worth money. Like we talked about how the
Yeah,
the
Curry,
2009 Topps Curry
yeah, it's
It's just
horrible.
it's just
I
a
hate
face
that.
shot. He looks like he's 14, and yet because it's his base topps rookie,
Yeah, it
it'll
doesn't
forever be
matter.
worth what it's worth.
Right.
But like I think we've seen it I'd say in the last 2 years. This is the first time I remember the trend where cards with like Kobe being guarded by LeBron or LeBron being in the card with Iverson.
Now
or
here's
like,
the thing: the cameo card's always been kind of a little thing,
but not like it is now.
But not like it is now. But one of the ones I mentioned last podcast, did we do Jordan or the one before that?
Yeah,
we did the top 5 Jordans. One of mine was that base Stadium Club card where he's dunking on Ewing like just the most disrespectful card I've ever seen. That card really took off, and the only reason why is because of the photograph.
Well, and I had a customer.
There's nothing else good about that card.
I had a customer in the shop today tell me he bought a 2016 Optic basketball, which is the first year of Optic.
Okay.
And it's LeBron going up for a dunk, and Kobe's in the photo.
Oh, yeah.
I think he bought a 10, he said, for like $100. They're up to like $500-$600 because I think you have two things going there. You have the first year of a product that's becoming popular in Optic, and you also have two of the probably 3 most iconic basketball
Well,
players
there's a
in one card.
that I asked you that I wanted to buy from you like 3 weeks ago. You never brought it to me, so
Which
whatever.
card?
I'm not bitter or anything. It's like Topps. I found a refractor of it. I was like, wow, look at this card. It's a really cool card. It's
And you're sure I have this
I'm
card?
gonna forget who it is. It was I was looking for comps, and you had one listed on eBay.
We have this.
But Brandon Crawford Topps Chrome.
Oh,
and
the
it's an
red,
all-star card, but it's got they're on the bench, and it's like Arenado. There's like 3 epic guys on it. Arenado's the only one I can remember.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you had a red
to 5 or something.
5 for like $15. And I was like, yeah, something like that. And I'm like,
$20
yeah, I want this card. Yeah. And then Clint's like, I'm not gonna bring it.
I totally spaced. I'll try to bring that next week. I'll give you.
But yeah, I was like, that's one of those cards where like no one probably recognizes. It's Brandon Crawford card. Who cares? But if you really look at the card, you're like, wow, this is a heck of a card. And what's nice about it too is they're kind of laughing in the dugout. It looks like they're having a good time.
It's like a natural shot too. It's not
Right.
like in the old '50s baseball, like it would be this clearly forced pose that was not natural.
Yeah, bats on their shoulder. They're looking
okay. It's like how many photos of bats on the shoulder can we have before we're like, you know what, who might want?
But yeah,
else?
I really like that card, and that's another thing. If you're a budget collector, you can collect stuff like that.
For sure.
You want an Arenado to 5 Topps Chrome, that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
You buy the Brandon Crawford with
And
Arenado
get ready for him to break out. We're gonna talk baseball
Absolutely.
next week, so that's a little preview. We're gonna talk. I picked up a George Springer at the show this week. I think.
What'd you get for Springer? Well, he's on the Blue Jays now.
Yeah,
so that's a
Topps
big team.
Topps update. It's the red foil, which is
Okay.
super condition sensitive PSA 10, and it was like $75. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I know that card's gonna be worth more if they're half of a team. And George Springer's a really good player.
Now, I put a bet down on the Blue Jays to win the World Series. They were
I think that's
plus,
a phenomenal bet.
what did I say? They were plus 2,000 or 2,200, I think.
2,200. That seems about right.
So I put like 20 or $40 on it.
Sure.
What do you think, Evan? You think? There's multiple teams in the National League, right, that are going to do well. There's,
But the AL,
Dodgers.
there's not that.
AL's wide open.
The AL's wide
The
open.
Padres.
Yeah.
No, Padres and Dodgers, right?
Yeah, Padres and Dodgers.
But
The
that
Dodgers
means-
are ridiculous.
But that means the American League team has an easier shot to get the World Series than in 7 games. Anything can happen.
I think the Yankees are due to win one again pretty soon.
But Yankees are plus.
Yeah. No, they're not a long shot.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm looking for a kind of a.
Blue Jays,
Yeah, I think the Blue
White
Jays.
Sox,
The
Twins.
Blue Jays,
White
White
Sox
Sox.
were like plus
The
800.
question is, do the Blue Jays have the pitching staff? They have plenty of. I feel like
a lot of
offense.
hitters,
Yeah, they have a lot of hitters. They
Oh,
have a
even if
great lineup.
Kevin Biggio.
And I'll tell you one thing we've learned from the Twins every year is hitting is not enough because it seems like good hitting is overshadowed by great pitching in the playoffs. Or
the
good
other
pitching.
thing too, because of the days off, you really only have to go to war with 3 pitchers.
Yeah, you
And
only need.
so-
There's been plenty of teams that have won with 2 studs.
Yeah.
Kurt Schilling, Randy
And then,
Johnson,
so what you do
Clemens.
is you win
you know.
game 1, you win game 2, you lose game 3,
Yeah,
you
you can
win
lose
game
one.
4, you win
Yep.
game 5. Now you win.
And if those 2 guys literally just shut the door, it's. But now you
remember the Padres in '98 with Kevin Brown.
No,
Was it 98, 99? How old were you? Like 4?
Two, so
know.
you're looking at
I was
No,
like
but
13.
Kevin
Thanks.
Brown, they
Yeah.
would.
Kevin
I'll
Brown
have
was
to look
good.
this up, but I was at Gallaudet, so I know it was like 97, 98. Because I was in the cafeteria watching it, and so this is how I remember things. But they would bring Kevin. They brought Kevin Brown like 5 out of 7 games.
Wow.
He was so good that year, and that's like all they had.
Well,
I think they lost.
There's been a handful of
No, they
guys.
lost.
There's been a handful of
Padres
guys in this World Series go 3 games in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
They go 3 times.
No, I think Kevin Brown might have been in four of the 7 games, and he started 2 of them.
Yep.
It was nuts. They were trying to win as much as they could. They don't care.
And to be honest, I would now for a regular season team, it's you'd rather have 5 pretty solid stars. But when it comes playoff time, I'd rather have 2 aces. And right now, guess what? San Diego and the Dodgers have more like
Dodgers.
3. They have like 3
Dodgers.
or 4. How do you have Dustin
what is
May,
the Dodgers?
Walker Buehler, Kershaw,
Bauer?
That is, they have 4 pitchers better than any of the
thing.
Twin starters.
Here's the top 3: Kershaw, Walker, Bauer. They don't even need Dustin May.
No, Dustin May, and Gratterall is just another.
Gratterall. They don't even.
He was our number 1 pitching prospect, and we just gave him up for.
Well, we didn't give him up, dude. We got him at a.
Yeah, he's good.
He's just a Hall of Famer, number 1 starter, no big deal.
No, he's not a Hall of Famer.
No,
Kenta Maeda?
All-Star, man.
All-Star. Pump the brakes here, John.
John. No, you're like, wait, what happened?
Did you hit your head?
Let's just say I misspoke. But yeah, All-Star and legit number 1 starter.
Yeah, no, he's a legit one.
I'm not sad.
And you know what the reality is? We pitched fine. The Twins did. They just didn't show up and hit it all.
Right. So, we didn't hit it all.
I think the Cubs are going to be better too, don't you?
Who'd they get?
They got.
I like Ian Happ though.
No, the Cubs got. Jock Peterson, but they got somebody else too. I thought they got another big time hitter. I'll have to look and see what other moves they made.
Yeah, the only guy in the Cubs that I think could really break out is Ian Happ. Had a good year last year. I don't think anybody noticed.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's older though. Isn't he like 25, 26? Yeah, so he might be already past where he could be.
The question is, are we going to see Mike Trout in the playoffs this year? Is it possible?
Yeah. Can you imagine to the Dodgers?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What Trout? By the way, did you know that Trout PSA 10 Topps updates hit $9,000 this week? Can you imagine if he was in a World Series and hit like a walk-off home run?
Well, I'll tell you something about Trout.
I can't imagine how high they are already.
Argue that Trout is undervalued.
Yeah. At a
in
Topps
market?
Paper,
in this market?
No, he's not. He's not undervalued at that price. At $9,000.
What's Kobe 10 going for?
5,000. He's twice Kobe. He shouldn't be twice Kobe. I
thought I had a point there. I don't know if I think a lot.
He's not. He's about the same.
I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, Clint.
Okay.
Something to learn.
He's about the same as LeBron. I think LeBron's are more. LeBron's should be more, and they are. I think 10s are about.
Yeah, but it was update. They don't make as much update by far.
Now the parallels are where it gets weird because that's. Yeah, they like the reds and the blues and stuff, and the diamonds are tougher. But I'm still like, did I tell you about this a year ago with Jeremy? What up, Jeremy?
What up, Jeremy?
Jeremy had a PSA 10 in his case.
Wait a second, what's that? Hey, Steve, what's up, Steve? I haven't mentioned Steve yet. What the heck?
What
up,
Steve? Jeremy had a PSA 10 Trout in his case. He had 1,100 on it. That day I was feeling like investing some money in cards, and I offered him, and this has been the most I had spent on a card in a long time. I offered him $1,000, and he wouldn't come down, and I walked over principal on that card over at $1,000. Now they're $9,000.
Yeah, because you didn't get the best deal ever.
I didn't get the best deal ever. So
well, I'll tell you this. Something to mention. So the Bloomington show, I stopped there real quick on the way to your place.
Yep.
And I picked up 3 more Wander Francos. So I'm into Wander Franco 6 cards for about $800.
Nice.
So I've actually taken I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
You're taking a position.
You're taking
a position.
Yeah, I picked up 2 Mojo. I would call them Mojo. Yeah, Mojo refractors, and then a paper.
They're out of the mega boxes.
And then
I think they just say mega box on that. Yeah.
And then a paper. So. But no, they're still first.
Yep. Yeah. No, they're first. Yep.
So now I got 2 10s, Mojo, 210 base chrome, 19 chrome, 1 paper. So I think I'm done though.
By the way, I misspoke. The Trouts have hit 7,500, so just short of 8,000. Which, to be honest, I thought.
When did he get traded to the Yankees? What happened?
Everybody thought it was crazy when a year ago those cards hit 1,000.
I
can't believe what they've done in a year. That is
when I sold
nuts.
mine at 40, I went over to Steve's house. What up, Steve?
Steve.
And I spent the whole time, the whole football game was a Sunday. I must have sold Saturday or Sunday. I went the whole day. I walked in and said, these dumb dummies gave me $40 for a base Topps RC card. It's not even a rookie card. These dumb, stupid, dumb dummies.
Okay, we
and
got
the
the
whole day,
dumb part.
The whole day I was doing it. It'd be third quarter. These dumb, and the whole time.
And
then,
you know what's ironic? Who was the dumb?
well, I don't know. I made the right decision at the time.
Did you? Okay.
There was never a RC Topps card that was more than $25.
And now, did you see what Jeters are doing? Jeter Topps paper, just not gold.
No.
You know, you sold me a gold PSA 9.
Yeah.
You remember
What's
that? Do you remember how much those were at the time? Did I pay like 150, 200-ish? Or?
Well, I gave you a deal.
Do you remember what they were even selling for? I can't.
300 maybe.
Were they like?
Yeah,
Okay, so they're not up as much. I think those are up around like maybe 600 or 800.
Yeah.
But his Topps 10s, I think, are like close to 1,500.
I'm really hoping I get a 10 on that thing.
And the SP, man.
So it would be nice to get my SP Jeter back, Clint. Like,
yeah.
Maybe you could call up
Yeah.
Beckett
You and a customer who just texted me going, I want my update on my PSA cards. Trust me, I wish I had.
So when did those get sent in? I think every podcast I'm just gonna bring it up until I get it. But those were like
May.
Yeah,
so,
it was before the PSA order, bulk order I got back. I sent
Beckett,
that June 29th.
Just so you know, Beckett right now is slower than PSA.
Wow. And by the way, let's be clear, that got sent a higher level service than bulk.
No, it went at bulk. It went 30-day, which is the bulk. The actual bulk is like 2 years right now.
Really?
So 30.
Oh no,
day,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They're bulk.
They have a slower service, and the slower service, literally, I would encourage anyone never to send a card at that. The last time I did it, this was before things were busy.
Yeah.
Their lowest service took 13 months. 13
now you think
actual
2
months.
years?
So now they're probably 2 years, but the reality is they're 30-day. I think on their website, it's like 8 months, like 7 months. So we're getting right to the we could have them.
Dude, I got 3 big cards.
Hey,
I got the
good news for
92
you?
Beam Team Jordan.
Yep.
I got the 93 SP Jeter and that absolute glass LeBron and a Lakers.
Hey,
one.
that
I need those
the
cards,
SP
man.
Jeter. You should thank me. It took so long. You should thank Beckett because literally you hit the bump right now. So
well, maybe if I get him back, what happens when I'm 90 and then it's still not back and then nobody knows I'll be like, I got the Jeter. Who's that?
Is this a nightmare? It's like all day I just get ragged on
Who's
about
that,
PSA.
Grandpa? You know.
Is that Babe Ruth?
Well, I got a LeBron too. I never heard of a Bron. I don't know what a Bron is. No, a Libra. You know.
How far in are we, Evan?
It's gonna be crazy. All right. Do you have anything else? I'm out of stuff.
No, I'm great.
123.
Man. I think
Let's
this
do
is
it.
fun. I'm excited to do some research next week for baseball.
Absolutely.
And I think we have 7 days till pitchers and catchers.
Yeah,
report.
and I think that actually works out perfect.
Yeah,
and
about a week.
we'll actually do some actual research for the next podcast, some real I'll try to dig down. I got a couple ideas about guys who aren't even prospects that people should keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
And then absolutely again. Anybody listening, please subscribe, and then let people in the hobby know that we're doing this. We're trying to get a really good podcast, get up to that 1,000 subscribers so we can go live.
Share it with your friends. Let everybody know.
Absolutely.
Just keep sending us comments. We'd love to answer questions every time. And,
Thanks for listening.